Hi, 6th graders. We're on lesson 9.4, which is permutations. So make sure you label the top of your notebook correctly. The learning target is being able to find the number of ways a set of objects can be arranged and being able to find the probability after finding the number of permutations. So a permutation is something that you should write down in your notebook. So I would write this word and circle it. Is an arrangement of objects in which order is important. So order does matter when we're determining if the situation given to us is a permutation. So an example, in how many ways are there to arrange your first 3 classes if they are math, science, and language arts? Well, order does matter because we can't have math, or we can't have math first hour, science second hour, and math again third hour. So we have math, science, and language arts. So we know that we could have first, second, third, or we could have math, language arts, and science. We could have science, math, language arts, we could have science, language arts, math, and so forth. Language arts, math, science, and then language arts, science, math. So this is an example of a permutation because there is a bunch of different ways to arrange our options, which again are math, science, and language arts, but the order of it matters. So we have basically first, second, and third hour. For first hour, if we haven't picked anything yet, we have 3 choices because we can pick between math, science, and language arts. Once we pick one, like if we picked math, then we only have 2 left. We only have science and language arts. So for our second hour, we have 2 left. And then for our third hour, because we picked that one, we only have 1 left. So then what we can do is we can multiply all of our options together, and we get 3 times 2 is 6 times 1 equals 6. And we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different options. So a permutation, you take however many options, or the very first thing you do is you figure out how many different objects do we have that we are putting in order. And then we have to think of how many options do we have for each object or for each arrangement. So let's look at another example. In how many ways can the starting 6 players of a volleyball team stand in a row for a picture? So we can kind of draw a little picture and think of 6 players standing in a row. Oops, not a very straight line there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have the 6 players, and we want to figure out how many different ways we can arrange them. Well, for our first spot, we can pick out of all 6. But now 1 is already standing here. So for our second one, we only have 5 left. And then for our third spot, because now we've already picked 2, so we have 4 left. And then we have 3 left, 2 left, and then that last spot is for that last person waiting. So then we multiply together. 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is 720 ways. So we can arrange 6 players to take a picture 720 different ways for standing in a row. How many ways can a president, vice president, and secretary be randomly selected from a class of 30 students? So this one's a little bit more confusing. So we want to pick a president, vice president, and secretary. So we have 3 spots, even though, yes, I know we have this number here that's going to throw us off. So because we need to pick a president, a vice president, and a secretary. Well, when we first pick a president, we are picking out of 30 students. So this first number we put here is going to be 30 because we can pick one person out of the 30 kids in the class. That person, whoever the president is taken away from our total amount of students. So then the vice president now is picked out of 29 students. And then the secretary, which I'm sure you're guessing, is going to be picked out of 28 students. And then we stop there. We don't go all the way down to 1 because we only have the 3 spots. So then it's 30 times 29 times 28. So there are 24,360 ways. You have 6 seasons of your favorite TV show on DVD. If you can randomly select 3 of them from a shelf, what is the probability that you will select season 1 first, season 2 first or second, and season 3 third? Okay, we are going to do this part first. If you can randomly select 3 of them from a shelf. So remember, we have 6 seasons. So we want to pick 3, and we're going to randomly pick them. So here's our 1, 2, and 3 that we're going to pick. Our first choice of picking, we can pick out a 6, and then we take 1 away, so then it's out of 5, and then we take 1 away again, and it's out of 4. So 6 times 5 is 30, times 4 is 120 ways. Okay, so we're always looking at how many ways are we selecting, or how many objects are we selecting? So we're picking the 3 DVDs, but then we have to look at how many total are there for us to pick from. So there's 120 ways. So the second question, what is the probability that you will select season 1 first, season 2 second, and season 3 third? Well, there's only one way to pick season 1, and then season 2, and then season 3, because it's telling you in that order how many, or what's the probability. There's no other way to write season 1 first, season 2 second, and season 3 third. So that's one way out of 120 ways. So the probability then, I should have wrote that a little bit differently. The probability of picking season 1, season 2, season 3 in that order is 1 out of 120. How many ways can you arrange the letters in the word numbers? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 letters, and we want to rearrange them and see how many ways can we rearrange them. So we're going to keep our 7 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I know that I'm going to multiply all of my numbers together when I get them. So see how that's the first thing I always do is, first of all, I figure out how many items am I selecting, and I make my blanks so I know that I'm going to fill in however many numbers I have, because I'm selecting all of the letters actually, but I'm just rearranging them. So I know I have to have 7 blanks, and now I go through and I figure out how many goes in each of my blanks. So there's 7 letters in numbers, so I have 7 numbers to choose from. 1 letter gets taken out, so I have 6 left. Another letter gets taken out, so I have 5 left. And then 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. So then we can multiply those together. 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 equals 5,040 ways. Make sure that you're multiplying these numbers and not adding or subtracting or dividing or whatever. What is the probability of picking an arrangement in this order, which I just put the letters backwards actually, so SREBMUN, which we know that this is the only way that we can arrange the letters in this order. So the probability then of getting it in that order would be 1 out of 5,040. So this right here is our example of a permutation. This is the number of ways, and in this instance, the number of ways the letters can be arranged. So if you wrote out all of the ways that the numbers could be rearranged, you would have 5,040 of them. This is the probability of picking that one arrangement that looks like this. 1 out of 5,040. Okay, so a few different things going on here, but we need to use all of them in order to figure out all the outcomes and the arrangements and the probabilities. All right, so make sure you log into log into NICU and take the 9-4 quiz. If you have questions, because I know this is a little bit confusing, make sure you write them down, and you can also look in your textbook, and make sure you bring your math notebook to class tomorrow. Have a super evening.